You know, I've obviously known his father for a long time. My first time meeting him, to be quite honest with you, we didn't talk a whole lot about my relationship with his father. It was a normal pre-draft visit, spend time with a young man to talk ball, to get to know him as an individual, to get to see how he processes and sees the game and how he articulates his football experience. From that standpoint, it was a very normal visit and a very productive one. I think the things that stood out were evident in this video. There's a toughness there that doesn't get talked about enough. There's a competitive spirit there that doesn't get talked about enough. I know he's very talented and he's made a lot of plays for his university and his team, but the intangible qualities displayed on tape were impressive to me.
I think there needs to be an investigation as to why they didn't draft a quarterback. How you don't draft a Shedeur Sanders? How you don't do that, knowing how debilitated you are at the quarterback position, spanning years. I'm not saying you didn't draft a quarterback at all. I know they drafted the quarterback, but I'm talking about Shedeur Sanders. I'm talking about somebody early in the first 2 rounds.
Here's what I can tell you about the draft. If he would have fallen to the 7th round,
right,
the Steelers weren't drafting Shedeur Sanders.
Why?
Shedeur Sanders was not going to be picked by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whatever the evaluation was, whatever decision was made, he was not going to be the quarterback picked, drafted, called by Mike Tomlin.
Because of talent or because the hoopla they felt like that came with it?
That's breaking news.
That was not going to
That's
happen.
breaking news, and here's why. Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan was seen talking about Shedeur Sanders. They interviewed him, etc. This is when we were speculating whether or not he was going to be a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. How in God's name do you justify him going to the 5th round? Like, to say even if he went to the 7th round, then what the hell were you talking about him for? What did you waste your time? You interviewing 7th rounders? You giving them that kind of time, that kind of attention? That's just further evidence something other than football tainted Shedeur Sanders coming into that draft. Because there's no excuse for him to fall that low, and there's no reason why on earth why a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who's been starving to find a quarterback for years, Ryan Clark could come up here and say, even if it was the 7th round, they still wouldn't have picked him. That makes no football sense.
Listen, a lot of things don't make sense to me. But what I'm telling you is, as the 83rd pick was approaching, my mind, my dumb football analyst mind said, there is no way they don't pick him at 83. There is no way that this guy who has a 1st-round grade from many people, at the lowest, a 2nd-round grade based on potential athleticism and talent and what he could do at the quarterback position, doesn't get picked at 83 by a team that's starved to have a quarterback. That you are figuring if you're going to get Aaron Rodgers or you're going to play with somebody else, you at least have a year to develop this kid who seems to have all of the things that make certain pocket quarterbacks great.
But could the Aaron Rodgers factors be a reason why they didn't pick a quarterback? You don't think that looms large over the
The only thing
Steelers?
I could say is that they knew they didn't want to do anything in this draft that would deter him from picking them. And I would have to believe having a Shedeur Sanders in the building with the push that is going to be given by fans for him to play, with the push that's going to be given by outside voices, that Shedeur Sanders needs to have growth. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wanted to be the 2nd most famous quarterback in a room.
What's up, y'all? So first of all, I want to thank y'all so much for tapping into my channel. I appreciate y'all. And the clip to show y'all, that was Ryan Clark, and he was breaking down with Stephen A. Smith how Shedeur Sanders was shunned by a lot of NFL teams. And even though a lot of NFL teams shunned him, he was still able to be drafted. And when he was drafted, they had some camera people inside of his house, and he was all happy, all smiles, and just dancing with his mother, sister, and his whole family. And that was nice to see that they weren't able to break this spirit down, because that is what they try to do. They even prank called him before he was drafted, and he still was able to have a smile on his face. And one thing that I like about Ryan Clark is that he's not afraid to say what's on his mind, because there's so many sports analysts that are scared to say what's on their mind. And that is why I like Ryan Clark, and he always stands up for brothers, because in this case, when it comes to Shedeur Sanders, there's definitely some things behind the scenes that we don't know about because he was drafted very late in the draft. And I think that the owners, they came together and basically discussed this behind the scenes and said that, we're not going to draft this guy. And I think that the reason why, partly because he said that, Shedeur Sanders, he said that, when I'm coming to a new team, I'm looking to basically change the whole culture. And they didn't like that, So, let me know what you think about this. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next videos.